Welcome to the Tuesday My Amazon Guy PPC AMA. I'm your host, Marissa Linzey, a brand director here at My Amazon Guy. Hello, everyone. Hello. So, I am solo again today, but that's okay. Here to answer any and all Amazon PPC questions. It is my birthday on Thursday. So big exciting, very excited about that. Happy birthday to me. Turning 26, very excited. But yeah, we're just prepping for Black Friday and Cyber Monday here at MAG. Getting all of our promotional structures set up, coupons, deals, all that good stuff. Getting budgets set up. Amazon's actually has the Black Friday, Cyber Monday drop down available within Campaign Manager, so we can take a look at that today. But yeah, really excited to be here and hopefully answer some questions. So in the meantime, while we are waiting for some questions, I do want to take a look at the Black Friday and Cyber Monday suggested bids. Hey Marissa, happy birthday in advance. Thank you. Thank you. I know I'm very excited. I will be out of office those days, Thursday and Friday, but really excited. I got a little coffee today, a little treat. I will get my birthday coffee on Thursday. So really excited. Okay, let me see. Okay, here's a good example. So, share screen. So you'll start seeing this Cyber Monday / Black Friday / holiday. So I'm not sure what holiday alludes to, if they mean like just like Thanksgiving or what. But when you're adjusting bids, be wary of this, just in the sense that if you're, obviously Black Friday isn't still for another, 2 weeks or so. So you want to make sure you're changing these suggested bids back to regular days. Quite a difference for some of these match types here and that kind of thing. But very cool, something to look out for. We've also started the process of doing some day parting on Steven's account. So I'll see if I can find an example of that. Overall, we're seeing pretty good results with the day parting feature. But it doesn't allow you to actually have bids adjusted, only the budgets. So it's not as useful as I think it could be. From Slavica, happy early birthday. Thank you. Very excited, very excited. Scorpio's rise. Okay, looks like we have our first question. How to get results from sponsored brand display ads. Whenever I'm started, it's bleeding, not giving results. So these types of ads, they're visual, right? That's kind of the point of a sponsored, brand display, sponsored display ad. But with that said, because they're so visible, people are in there and they're clicking around. It's driving a lot of interest, most likely. So I would be interested to know how much time you're really allocating, in giving these campaigns before going in and really messing with a lot of stuff. You might find that you don't have to bid as much if you're getting really good visibility. So to kind of accommodate for all of those clicks that you're getting, it might be best to just kind of lower bids and go that route. But yeah, obviously you're generating some interest if people are clicking and want to know more. It could be a listing issue as well. So if the ad looks really good, right? But you get to the listing and maybe the main images aren't great. That's something to think about. Given some time, 8 days. 8 days is not a long time. I hate to break it to you. We before even thinking about pausing anything, 2 weeks, I think, so like 10 to 15 days, that is more manageable, right? If you still haven't gotten any sales. but I'd just be interested, is it just like an ACOS issue where we've gotten some sales, but you're just not profitable like on that on those campaigns, or kind of like what's going on there, I guess is my question. Um, because if it's just an ACOS issue and you are generating sales, it's really probably just a bid related issue. And I'd be interested if you're doing down only or up and down, or what's that kind of look like, top of search, for the placements. Um, I usually don't like to pause anything until like 30 days. I definitely have heard cases for 14 days before, and I get that. If you are a little bit more constrained budget wise. But really, anywhere from like 14 to really 30 days, you want to be looking for bleed. And if it's something where, maybe you need to pause a few targets, but not the whole thing, or just lower, some budgets, that would probably be my suggestion there. But yeah, sponsored brand and sponsored display. Um, right, they don't look like a standard sponsored product, ad, right, where people just scroll and scroll, and it um takes a lot more to break that scroll. Listing all things are fully optimized. I'd be really curious to see the main image. To be honest with you, I'd also I mean, it depends on the ad as well, but it's a good thing that you're getting some traction, right? Like that is a positive. It's just, is it the right kind of traction that you want, right? So what are you positioning around to? Are the terms highly relevant? Are you just trying to get out there? Are you just being defensive? Is it just like branded? Or is it, you know, really competitor heavy too? That can also really influence like cost per clicks and stuff and cause you to bleed. I usually don't advise people, like, if some of our clients have like one or two very specific competitors, and a lot of the times it's just not worth getting into like a bidding war, right? It's more so being strategic and using different types of ad types and things like that, to get the upper hand, but not drive up cost per click every single week. So when I'm changing main image, the conversion will going to be 0. You don't know that. You don't know that. And that's why we A/B test. So managed experiments, go in there, A/B test. With that said, that's a good segue, I think, to talk about the CTR main image hacks. So what Ibrahim is talking about is changing your hero image, right? So if we are trying to learn more about upgrading your main image, there's a lot of different things that you can do with main image and that you should be doing before the holiday season. Different categories have some different rules surrounding like what types of like packaging you're allowed to show and how much text you're allowed to have, and that kind of thing. But general rule of thumb is, as long as there is a thin white border around the image, right, so you don't get auto flagged by bots, and all of the text looks affixed to the packaging, so it doesn't look like this photoshopped, like you went in MS Paint and just kind of threw something together in a text box. It looks like it's actually part of the content. We've seen this do amazing things for some of our clients' main images. It really makes a night and day difference, and we offer this service for $100 per main image. In my experience, $100 goes very quickly advertising, right? Especially if you're bleeding. I think it's a lot more value to just pay upfront to have the main image redone. And if you aren't comfortable with changing the main image fully, A/B test. So 50% of the time, people will see one image. The other 50% of the time, people will see the other image. And we do this all the time on the Age of Sage account. So you would just go in here, go brands, manage experiments, and look at this, all of these main image A/B tests. So it's as simple as going in here and saying, okay, does the sage with the packaging do better, right? Or does this angle do better, right? Sometimes it's just an angle thing, right? Sometimes if the box just looks flat or it doesn't look appealing or it doesn't look to scale, that can, affect your CTR. So run these tests, even though these are just a little bit different. Pretty conclusive results here, right? As far as like sales and which when people bought from these experiments. So hopefully that's helpful and gives you some insight. But that would be my guess as far as why a sponsored display ad maybe is generating clicks. It's either the listing itself or the keywords that you're going after. So hopefully that helps. Okay, getting into our next question. Hi, I'm new to Amazon and PPC. In my new products, I have some keywords in exact base and going a little aggressive and have sprinkled those keywords everywhere. Should I put those in broad too? Definitely, definitely. Exact match is great if you've in two instances, right? Number one, you want to tell Amazon exactly what your product is and where it belongs, right? Keep in mind, exact match is also the most expensive match type because there's really no room for, number one, negations, right? You're not doing any negating at all with exact match campaigns. And there's less, I guess, flexibility for Amazon to make assumptions about where your product belongs. And this is great for people who know exactly where their product belongs. They've got a new product launch. They don't want to wait for the algorithm to get its act together. And they say, okay, I'm going to do a bunch of exact match campaigns. I'm going to be in the spots that I want to be in. My listing's retail ready. Let's get it. Let's do it. And that's a great strategy that works for a lot of people. Another instance would be people who do start their campaigns in phrase and broad, or even just auto campaigns, right? And they take those keywords and they see that they do well, and then they put them in exact match. So it's not always a matter of just starting an exact. You can work your way up to exact and build a little bit of evidence, for why that's a good target for that match type. And even sometimes, honestly, I've seen fantastic converting keywords in broad and phrase, um, even like broad match modified, right? That do fantastic in those match types and then do not do as well in exact. And there's really no rhyme or reason, or logic behind like why that's, should be happening. But it's just kind of the nature of the beast sometimes. And it can also be related, closely with cost per click and kind of just how the algorithm works, right? I think everybody has a lot of ideas about how Amazon's A9 algorithm does work. I don't think anybody actually knows for sure, except for Amazon. So we can make a bunch of guesses and we can say, oh, well, exact should always work better. But that's just not the reality of what actually happens. So definitely, I think you should put those in broad. Create a broad match campaign for those keywords. Make sure that there's no more than 10 per campaign, right? Give them a generous budget. You can even start depending on how many keywords you're putting in there, $10-15 a day, see what it does. Exact match is more expensive per click, but you might find that you get a lot more clicks in broad match. So just be wary of that as well. But it should be a little bit cheaper for you, and you might get a lot more traction. And you might get some traction that surprises you. So you might have to definitely do some negations, but you can find out where your product is showing up and where it maybe makes sense for it to show up and where maybe not so much, right? So I think broad is a great way to learn as well. And is it fine to just run an auto campaign for a new product? That's definitely okay too. I always like to have auto campaigns running, even when it's not a new product, right? There's always going to be new keywords that spring up and new opportunities that spring up. Even if your product is 5 or 6 years mature, right? It's never a bad idea to have auto campaigns as part of your portfolio, but definitely make sure you branch out and have some others, phrase broad match modified, category campaigns, product targeting campaigns, all that good stuff too. So you have a really, nice variety. And you can also do some auto catch-all campaigns. Those are more so for um, brands who are really developed, right? Who don't necessarily want to be spending a ton of money on their branded search terms anymore because they don't really need to, right? Just being that they'll probably still make that sale organically. They don't need to spend money on their branded search terms for sponsored ads, right? Um, so I know that was kind of a long-winded answer, but hopefully that was helpful. Definitely do those keywords in broad and definitely run some auto campaigns. I love doing this around Prime Day or Black Friday, Cyber Monday. If you're not doing anything, just putting some feelers out there, putting some auto campaigns out there just to test the waters. Those are great times to start advertising just because you're going to have so much more traffic than you normally would because there's so many people flocking to the site for those event days. Um, and you'll just be able to generate so much more information, especially as it relates to search query performance reports and stuff like that. So definitely make sure you're doing that. Would advise. Okay. Next, my question is from Keep Real. Do you guys increase your bids and budget the month/weeks before Black Friday and Cyber Monday and reduce it on the offer days to be well positioned organically? Do you keep it the same? That's a great question. So here at MAG, in the weeks leading up to Cyber Monday, Black Friday, we have to get a lot of client approval. So a lot of that time is spent pitching budgets, pitching increases, and saying, "Hey, this is what we think would work well. Can we get your approval?" Because a lot of these clients are not necessarily used to spending that much, but you kind of have to during these event times, so that your campaigns are not going out of budget really, really early into the day. So we tend to be very strategic about this, just being that we don't have the budget forever, right? Or the clients rather don't have that budget forever. Um, they give us an approval for the week of, and that's when we make the changes. So usually, I think for Prime Day, right? It was the Tuesday and Wednesday. We went in on Monday. We downloaded um, a catalog, like a listing report, or rather like for all of the bids, right? So downloaded that. So we have all of the pre-event bids saved somewhere, so we can re-upload them after the event and revert everything back, so that we're not overspending continually even after the event, right? And then, yeah, we let the increased budget just run for those event days. So Cyber Monday, Black Friday, it's going to be a 4-day event. So from Friday into Monday, probably end of Monday, a lot of sales and stuff like that are ending on Tuesday, just so they don't stop early. And then we'd go in and we'd reduce it back on Tuesday. So the Tuesday after Cyber Monday. Just being that it's not our money, right? That ad spend is usually not attached to us directly. It's a client's spend, right? And we have to be respectful of their wishes. But I've seen this work really well. Even organically, you don't have to build and build and build necessarily. You should be trying to scale anyway, but for specific events, and stuff like that. You really don't have to action until the week of, and you can still be really successful. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. What do you suggest if products are not eligible for A/B testing since low traffic? So that's a really good point. Not every single product is going to have the traffic to sustain an A/B test in Amazon's eyes. We like to use PickFu. That's a really good program. You do have to, pay for each experiment, but it's, rated by real people who give you real feedback. You just want to make sure that your actual hypothesis question isn't too biased. You want to be very clear about what it is that you are asking, what kind of feedback you're looking for on PickFu. But yeah, we use that sometimes. We also, being an agency of 400 people, we lean on each other a lot for feedback. So if there's something that we're not sure of, or do you think this looks good? We do lean on each other a lot in Slack to give feedback and do some informal polls there. But I always try to lead with data. Um, you know, when I'm trying to prove to clients that, like, hey, this main image that you're really attached to and that you've had for years, it can be scary. Um, but in the event you can't do a main image test, do a few PickFu tests, okay? And then, you know, change the main image, monitor. So give it 2 weeks to a month. As long as sales are not tanking dramatically and you don't get image suppressed and anything like that, keep an eye on it. Make note of what your conversion was on that ASIN before the new main image was put up, and what conversion was like after, in the weeks and months afterwards. And that'll be able to give you a really holistic view of what worked and maybe what didn't work. So hopefully that's helpful. Check Steven's listing of the stage 6 and it's not making use of that new image. So did my MYE show it to not perform better? So, whether version B actually, and this is what we're referencing here. So whether version B, it is better. Amazon's telling us that, but the experiment is complete. So, but it looks like it should have auto-published on October 4th. But maybe he chose not to use it. Maybe he, had another test going. He's got a lot of these A/B tests going at one time, but very possible that he also has like a PickFu in motion. I do not run the Age of Sage account. I can use it as an example on the podcast, but I do not directly manage it. But yeah, you can have Amazon auto publish the winner if that's what you'd like to do, or you can just have the experiment end when it's conclusive, and then you can manually update the main image. So version B did perform better, but that doesn't mean you have to use it, right? It's just meant to collect data for you. Okay. What PPC campaign structure would be most effective, broad, exact match, or phrase match for ASINs well past their honeymoon period? Thanks. That's a good question. I think any of these can be effective, but it's really dependent on what you're trying to do. So you're trying to, revive a listing. I'd spend a lot of time on the organic keywords first, being that, these work very hand in hand. I would probably lean towards broad and phrase, just being that, like I was kind of saying before, you're going to get you're going to show up in a lot more places, right? You're probably going to get a lot more clicks. They're not going to be as focused of clicks as an exact match campaign structure would be, right? It's very, very straight and narrow, very tunnel vision. So if you are trying to get yourself out there a little bit and you're trying to revive a listing, you're going to want to show up in a lot of different places and be for a lot of different searches and combinations to really get back in people's minds and revive some sales traffic there. So you might find yourself spending more. So I would probably advise spending at the higher end of that cost per click or suggested bid in broad and phrase. So it could still be a little bit expensive. But I think you'll just have a lot more access to more opportunities using those to revive some ASINs that are out of that initial honeymoon period, which is, for those of you that don't know, the preferential treatment period that Amazon gives new listings when they first launch. Okay, hopefully that's helpful. Hi, Marissa. Thank you for your last week advice about PPC. I managed to achieve 11% ACOS on Italy, but my campaigns are not working very well on Spain and Germany. Any suggestions what I should focus on? So first of all, congratulations. This is for the 300 euro fireplace that we talked about last week. So yeah, 11% ACOS is great. Congrats. So you're having success on Italy, but not so much Spain and Germany. My first thought here is to think about the types of keywords that you're using. Obviously, very different languages, Italian versus Spanish versus German, right? So you're gonna, number one, make sure your grammar is actually correct. So make sure you're not just plugging these keywords or phrases into like Google Translate and hoping for the best. My advice is I would maybe get like a VA or somebody who speaks those language natively to look at the actual keywords that you're using and make sure that the grammar is actually checking out correctly and even just from a cultural standpoint, like is that how people search for things there, right? The way we search things, even across English speaking countries, right? How people search in the United States and even the United Kingdom, very different, vastly different. My favorite example, not so much a language example, like, yeah, you have gray, like GRAY and GREY, stuff like that. Color, COLOR, CLOUR, right? But think about like their day to day. So, my favorite example is we had a grocery client. They sell these products that actually absorb the chemical that makes like food kind of like overripen or go bad, right? Being that here in America, we tend to food shop for the week, right? So if I go and I food shop on Sunday, I'm not food shopping again until next Sunday. That's very much so, a part of American culture. Just being that we don't have the time with our work schedules and stuff like that to go out to the market and have a bunch of fresh produce and make time to actually food shop every single day. Um, in the UK or even Europe, that is very, very different. Um, people do not have, number one, they don't have the preservatives we do, right? To be able to sustain that, their food goes bad much faster. But it's an innate part of their culture to go out and to actually, get dinner for the night and cook it fresh and not saying any culture is, worse or better than the other. But I do think it would be worth actually getting some insights into how people search for fireplaces in these other countries. Do they call them fireplaces? Or do they call them like chimneys? Or is there some other kind of cultural dialect difference that maybe you're just not picking up on because you don't live in those other countries, right? So I think sometimes we make a lot of assumptions about how customers are searching for items, but we need to make sure that they're really backed up by evidence and that our grammar is correct and that people are actually you know searching the way that we assume that they are. So that's my advice there for maybe why they're not working as well in Spain and Germany. You're gonna have to do you're gonna have to do new keyword research for every single new marketplace that you sell in. That's just the reality. It's not as simple as maybe like NARF, right? United States, Canada, Mexico, it's fine, go for it, or just tweaking it for Spanish. Um, you might be surprised. So that's my advice there. Hopefully that's helpful. I look forward to hearing from you next week. Okay. From Gregor. Hi, Gregor. What's up? What's up? Long time subscriber. Hi, Marissa. Should we run the Black Friday / Cyber Monday bids now or wait when the holidays will be closer? Thanks. So today is November 7th. I think you should probably, we are going to wait until at least the 20th, right? So if you do want to start getting some of your placement, um, you know, ready and you have the budget to sustain that because they are higher cost per clicks, you know, start the 20th, so that Monday before Thanksgiving, um, and, you know, start there. I wouldn't elevate budgets now or bids now. Um, I don't think people are quite there. It's still kind of early. And I know a lot of people don't even start thinking about holiday shopping until at least, Thanksgiving time. That's really the marker in a lot of people's minds. I know it's kind of crazy to think that 2 weeks can really make or break that behavior. Um, but that's when a lot of people start getting in their minds, okay, like I need to do holiday shopping. I need to get into that mindset. Thanksgiving's coming. So 20th, if you want to be, a little bit bold and get ahead of the curve. Otherwise, we're going to start adjusting bids probably, Wednesday or Thursday on actual Thanksgiving to be prepped for Friday. So hopefully that's helpful. And then reverting bids back Tuesday after Cyber Monday. Okay. From Andre, I'm new to Amazon PPC. Just launched a Damascus chef knife in the UK marketplace. Very competitive. I believe it. How should I go about it? I got around 7 to 10 reviews, but I haven't done campaigns yet. Thank you. Are those reviews like all organic? Did we do Vine? I definitely think, um, you know, in a perfect world, you'd have a bunch of reviews, right? Because all of these competitors, I'm sure, do. So think about Vine as far as reviews. I also know Merchant Spring and Helium 10 allow you to send automatic reminders to customers who do buy your products to leave a review or leave feedback. But haven't done campaigns yet. I'd be really interested to see, um, what you're currently indexing and ranking for organically, being that you aren't doing any advertising right now. So you can look that up in Cerebro. There's a bunch of other tools you can use too, but that's the one we like to use in Helium 10 for like a reverse product lookup. And then all of those keywords, I would implement them into campaigns. So, spread them out. And being that it is so competitive, I do imagine you're going to have a lot of different campaigns, um, probably quite a few campaigns for even just that one product. But be strategic about how you're setting them up, is my advice. Don't feel like you have to do it all in one go. Like we were saying before, start with an auto campaign, see how that does. Set up then, a broad phrase and exact campaigns. So you're up to 4. Set up a category targeting campaign, right? Set up product targeting. You're probably going to need 2 or 3 of those just to make sure that you're actually segmenting out properly. So you have anywhere from 5 to 10 product targets within each campaign. Um, and make sure you're being strategic about which products you're going after. So you want to be going after knives that have the um, same use, right? Because not all knives are created equally. Same price, and you do also want to take into consideration review count. So you might initially be better off only going after product targets that have 7 to 10 reviews like yourself. If it's very obvious on your listing, and your listing is super retail ready, that yours is the better product, or you have the better listing. So that might be an easy layup on some of those newer products. It really just is very dependent on the budget you have, the time you have, and how competitive you're willing to be, right? You're aware that it's a competitive category to be in, but how competitive are you going to be to take back some market share, right? And that could take some time. It could get expensive. um But yeah, that's what I would do. Auto campaign, exact, broad phrase campaigns, some category targeting, um, and then some product targeting. And then as you start getting, um, more established, do some self-targeting, some defensive ad spend, because as you get more market share, people are going to want it back from you. So right now you're in the opposite seat, right, where you want to take it from other people. But hopefully you get to a point where people want to take it back from you, and that's when you have to run D instead of just offense. So hopefully that is helpful. Advertising should always be a tool. It shouldn't be a crutch. So as long as your organic sales, um, are sustainable and not completely dead in the water, I think anytime is a great time to have ads help you, as long as your actual listings themselves look good. Okay. What do you do with people who are placing orders and they want refunds? How do you deal with them? Those types of people. So, I wish I had a better answer for you, and this isn't necessarily PPC related. Um, Amazon's return policy is very, very, very customer centric. I think just about any Amazon seller, especially FBM sellers, will tell you that. So, um, if people want a refund, they're getting a refund. It doesn't make sense to fight them. It doesn't make sense for, because what are they going to do if you fight them? They're going to go to their bank. They're going to open up a chargeback claim. And then you are going to get a nice A to Z claim in your seller account that runs the risk of deactivating you. And for what? You're just going to have to refund them anyway. So it sucks. Especially, when there's really nothing wrong with the product, or, they're just getting a refund to get a refund. But that's Amazon's return policy, and that's what they're choosing to stick with and run with. So, even FBM sellers have to have the same level of customer service as, Amazon FBA. So it's unfortunate. Best safeguard that you have as a seller is going to be safety claims on Amazon. So if somebody were to send something back that was not your product, which happens sometimes, there are some scam artists out there. You can file a safety claim with pictures of the box the item came back in, as well as the actual item that you received back. And I've seen those be successful a lot of the time. They will credit you back for the price of your product, being that the one you got back was not yours. So that's really the most safeguarding I've seen in the return process as far as Amazon goes. For a lot of it, you're just going to have to accept it and deal with it. Sorry. Okay, next. If a campaign has not performed well in the last few months, just as in August and September, and ACOS is bleeding, so we drop the budget. But if October campaigns are performing good with good ACOS, should we increase the budget because the campaign is going out of stock, or we have to wait? Okay, so a lot going on here. Realistically, I think this is going to be number one, a scaling question, and number two, an inventory stock question. So sometimes I'd be interested if this is a seasonal product or if there's any seasonality related to this product, because that's entirely possible. Um, so maybe it's just not a product that does well in the warmer months like August and September. But maybe in October, or maybe it's really giftable, right? So in October, it's generating a lot more interest and performing a lot better. Um, I feel like sometimes we look into campaign managers without any context. And, here at MAG especially, we have advertising teams, but they communicate very closely with brand managers, just in the sense that if you're just sending someone out there, into your campaign manager with just some number goals, like some ACOS and tacos targets, but you're not giving them any context into what do inventory levels look like, what do what do the listings look like, what do our sales this time of year look like, are we seasonal, are we not, like there's so many outside factors that actually can impact, the campaign manager outside of just the ads console, right? So I'd be interested to know that. Um, I think, yeah, if your campaigns are performing good, increase the budget, but not if you're going to go out of stock. So when we run into stock questions, or stock problems, especially this time of year, when sales are usually higher, we can do a few things. So number one, we can raise prices. So you're going to want to do this very gradually, being that if it's over 7 to 10% of an increase, Amazon thinks you're price gouging. So you might get price suppressed. So that's one concern, but you can increase your price. You may be very surprised to find that people will still buy your product and run you out of stock, even with a price increase. The other, method would be to decrease severely advertising. That's probably what I would do in your case. Disappointing, I know, because October is going so well for you. But if you're about to stock out, personally, I would rather, basically almost stop ads on that ASIN completely than have to suffer a stock out. The BSR after effects are going to be a lot worse if you stock out versus if you just stop advertising. So you really want to preserve the in stock rate, of the item. So that's what I would probably suggest there. But also making sure that you're testing out some price increases as well, because that can be a little bit of a deterrent, for people who maybe don't want to pay a certain price point. Hopefully that helps. My throat is dry. All this talking. Okay. John Aspinall's $100 mag image hack does work. Increase my CTRs by 200%, decrease ACOS by 20, sales up 45%. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm really glad to hear that. I'm in a position sometimes because I can't, obviously talk a lot about specific clients or give very specific examples for clients because there's the confidentiality to think about. But I love hearing these testimonials from people finding that our CTR hacks work, and having some real numbers to look at. So thanks for that. Really glad to hear it. I'd love to see it. If you want to drop an ASIN by, let me know. And then totally makes sense. We'll start to work on it straight away. And this is for the Euro fireplace and the SEO research. See you next week, hopefully with positive results. I hope so. I'm crossing my fingers for you. I will bestow some birthday magic on you, some birthday good luck. We'll sprinkle it on your question. Hopefully we see some really positive results for you. Okay. And then looks like our last question. So if this does end up being our last question, we'll wrap a little bit early today. From Nathan. Do you suggest doing competitor keyword bidding? If so, how do we get started and what are the watch outs? So I do suggest doing offensive bidding against specific keywords for sure, and going after certain brands. For example, right, Age of Sage, Steven's number one competitor is Dr. Squatch, hands down, right? So we have a lot of campaigns, or even just targets. I can show you here what that looks like as far as what the campaigns look like, number one, but number two, what those, product and keyword targets look like. So let me share my screen. So here we have the Age of Sage console. We can go into targeting here. I love this tab, very underrated in my opinion. And we can look at, if I could spell correctly, that would be great. Hopefully I'm spelling this right. Maybe I'm not. I am. There we go. So you can see we can filter by active status and targets that are enabled. So you can see everything that's going on. And targeting tab is great because you don't have to go into every single like individual campaign to see what's going on. But you know, to get a full level view. But yeah, look, we're doing keyword Dr. Squatch soap in broad, exact, phrase. And I can open up some of these you know, pine tar soap. So we're going after very specific variations where it makes sense for certain scents of our soap that are very similar. So if we go into this campaign in particular, we can see, okay, this is what we're going after as far as like, you know, which of our products. And then Dr. Bronner's, Dr. Squatch. So this looks like all, you know, competitor comp, right, keywords. Doesn't look like we have a ton of traction here. It looks like our bids are probably too low. So Stephen, if you're watching this, increase your bids on Dr. Squatch. But we can sort this too by spend and ACOS and ROAS and that kind of thing. So this one looks to be pretty successful, 36% ACOS. We've made $94 from this campaign. And I think what this is doing well, you know, when you consider these sales, they probably would have gone to Dr. Squatch if they didn't go to us, right? Or they'd go to another competitor. So this is what I'm kind of talking about when I say that there's only so much market share sometimes, but this is the only keyword going after in phrase for this campaign. Kind of like what I was saying earlier. So this bid can be pretty low, right? So it even falls under this suggested range here. But because we're getting so many impressions, so we're getting, you know, almost 6,000 impressions, you know, 94 clicks just this month. So we're 7 days into the month, you know, orders, sales, ACOS. So all, you know, all things considered, we're doing pretty well here at taking some market share away from Dr. Squatch soap. But you know, you want to be really intuitive to what you're going after. So here I'm seeing, you know, look at last 30 days, but I'm seeing a lot of sponsored product campaigns, which is great. But think about, you know, where Dr. Squatch advertises, right? So even on just like a higher level, right? So if I type this in, right, they're the first thing right here in sponsored brand, top of search, right? Sponsored brand header. So you have to think about, okay, well, how am I going to take this position away from them? Is that something I want to do? Is that a strategy I want to go after, right? And it might be. I mean, you know, we're probably on here somewhere, Age of Sage, if I had to guess, but they are really this tells me they're spending a lot of money on, you know, their sponsored, you know, rankings and things like that to show up in all of these very high position spots. They have, look, they have a sponsored display, you know, down here in the middle. So they are taking up all that market share. But even if we look at our brand, so Age of Sage, they're on our stuff too. So this is our sponsored brand, which is winning right now. So that's really cool. Um, Save soap, or even like soap for men. They have come up sometimes where, and this is where I'm kind of getting with this, where some of the drawbacks um, are with how competitive you want to be. So sometimes we have this position and our sponsored brand header wins, but that's not always the case. Sometimes theirs wins, and they get to be top of search for our branded search term. So the caveat, I think, to this question is, you know, what are the watchouts? You could very easily get into a bidding war with, you know, just that one or two other competitors. If you're both very, very aware of each other in the space, like I'm sure Dr. Squatch is of us, Age of Sage. So you do get into these battles sometimes where, oh well, oh, I don't have the sponsored brand header right now. I'm just gonna bid more, and then you do get it, and then you lose it again because Dr. Squatch figures it out, and they do a search, and they're like, oh well, we want it back. We're gonna beat you on bid again, and then how much market share you're actually, or how many more sales you're realistically getting from that is going to be really nominal, because all you're really accomplishing is just going like back and forth with one competitor, right? So at that point I would say, okay, let's not go that route. Let's find another opportunity that's maybe less sought after. So when I say that, I mean, can I go into this listing, and what does the actual real estate look like, right? So if I'm just here, okay, whatever, they have the subscribe and save, cool, great, frequently bought together. But here is your prime time for defensive ads, right? So realistically, if we wanted to take this approach, you can spend a decent amount of money to be in this bar down here, um, for Age of Sage to show up as number one or number two, um, when people are scrolling through this listing. So before they even hit your brand story or any of your A plus content, there's all of this real estate, and it looks like they're spending a lot of money to keep a very strong hold on that real estate. Their defense is very good. Um, very good. I don't see one other brand even anywhere on their listing. So that's very rare. Um, so I would say to try it, and it is good to target competitors, especially when market share is limited. But you do want to be careful, I think, of getting lost, right? Losing sight of the actual goal and just kind of going on a tangent and having to win just to win, right? So hopefully that is helpful. Okay. Happy birthday messages. And then just to circle back real quick, sorry, it's out of budget. And second, it's not a seasonal product. So this goes back to the campaign question for October. So the product isn't out of stock. It's just the campaign is running out of budget. So yeah, if in October you're killing it, you're doing great, you're finally getting some more momentum, definitely make sure that those campaigns are not going out of budget. Yes, increase ad spend as it makes sense, right? Monitor the ACOS, monitor the ROAS. Make sure you're not just throwing money at something just to throw money at it. But from what I hear, this sounds like you're actually being successful, and you're scaling successfully. So yeah, definitely increase the budget for sure. Okay. Yeah. So that's all of our questions. Hopefully, everybody learned something today. I learn things on these podcasts all the time, believe it or not. Being in this seat, you got to know what you're talking about. You're online, and in front of the world, in front of the whole YouTube community. So I'm constantly learning new things. So I hope you are as well. A few plugs here that I want to share. Just being that we are at the end of our show here. So we did talk about the CTR main image hack. So Allie, if you just want to run that little banner at the bottom, if you're interested in finding out more, it's going to be myamazonguide.com/main image CTR upgrade in the URL here, and it's also scrolling down below me. $100, really, really worth it. We had some live testimony today on the show confirming that it worked for them. So definitely consider that. We also have a list of services here. So advertising management, we do offer PPC only contracts if that's something, you're more attuned to, looking into. If contracts aren't really your thing, we do have a coaching page where you can book with a number of directors here. So Tom, Fran, Faith, Kristen Lash, Joe, even John, myself, and Stephen Pope. So you can ask him an email question. So a lot of options here. We all specialize in different things depending on what your strong suits are. So I really like to talk about brand registry, as far as like trademarks go and stuff like that, growth, CTR obviously for John. So these are a really great tool for some quick action if you're not trying to go the full service route. With that said as well, so we also specialize. We do like listing reinstatement. So that's a service that we offer a la carte. Um, we have some great design examples, full account audits, trademark registration service. So we actually have a lawyer that will file your trademark for you. So that's really helpful if you're trying to get that in motion. And as a reminder, you only need to have a pending trademark on Amazon to actually get brand registry. So that's really helpful. We do clawbacks with my refund guy, so that's a separate service. And we also have the courses. So we have Max School. So if you're really, we had some beginners on the show today that maybe weren't 1,000% sure on everything PPC. We do have a really great PPC course, as well as all of these other foundations of Amazon and FBA logistics, launching, building variations. So any of those more high-level questions I feel like are answered in here. I've taken all of them. I think they're really instrumental in helping everybody learn. So with that said, thank you so much, guys, for coming to the pod. It was fun. But yeah, I hope everybody learned something. I'll see you next week. Thank you for all the birthday wishes, and I hope everybody has a great day. Bye.